Good morning. Thank you for joining us for the PTAP 19 Call for Projects webinar. My name is Christina Wohlhorst. I'm here with Anthony Albert. I'm delighted that we finally got this up. What we're going to do is we have some ground rules. This webinar is being recorded, including my bloopers at the beginning, but I promise to try to get that out so that no one has to go through that again. So we're recording. What we're going to do is we need for you to mute your phone since we're recording now. And what you're going to do is you're going to digitally raise your hand to ask questions and type questions into me. I may not be able to get to your questions immediately during the presentation. I might have to go back and read them all and then answer them at that time. But it's important that I answer the questions in the webinar so that everybody gets to hear the answer and that I don't type them back. So a copy of this presentation is going to be emailed to all of you who joined us today. And this recording and the presentation will be on MTC's website as soon as I can figure out how to make that happen. So what we're going to go over today is an overview of the program, the funding, eligibility, what the application's like a little bit and what's in it, our process, the schedule for all of this to occur for PTAP 19, and then we'll have questions and answers. So PTAP provides technical assistance so that jurisdictions can better understand their pavement conditions so that you can make really good cost-benefit analyses at your jurisdictions. The program started as a way to help jurisdictions understand their pavement and how to make good decisions about which streets and roads to fix first, frankly. The program started off a long time ago with a focus on helping smaller jurisdictions. And that's because smaller jurisdictions tend not to have the resources to have someone on staff, like, say, the city of San Francisco or San Jose. And someone just put us on hold. You could not put us on hold anymore, because when you do that, if you're everybody who's on now, when you do that, we get hold music on our recording. So we really would prefer that you just mute and not put us on hold. And someone put us on hold, which is fantastic. So I'm going to, when that hold music stops, I'm going to ask them not to put us on hold anymore.
Oh, that's great. That's good to know.
Yeah, please don't put us on hold, because when you do that, then we hear hold music. Details about the PTAP program can be found in MTC Resolution 4078. And if you would like to look at that resolution, let me know, and I'm happy to send it to you. So MTC's, the funding that MTC gets is through STP funds. We have about $1.5 million to spend per year. Sometimes we spend a little bit more, sometimes we spend a little bit less. We do a call for project annually, but the program, each round lasts about 18 months. Hi, whoever came back from putting us on hold, please don't put us on hold again, because then we get your hold music. Thank you. So the minimum project amount is $15,000 and the maximum project amount is $100,000. Everyone has to provide a 20% local match for the total cost of the project. So every jurisdiction, all 109 jurisdictions in the Bay Area get to participate in PTAP. Priority is given to local jurisdictions whose certifications have expired or they're expiring within 6 months of project award. And it's really important that jurisdictions be certified. What MTC has done more is we're tying funding to making sure that everyone knows the condition of their pavements and has accurate records about it, because what we're trying to do is make really smart decisions about infrastructure that we help pay for, and that's why it's critical that you be certified. And if you have questions about your certification status, please feel free to contact me directly, and I'll be happy to help you. So we recommend that jurisdictions apply for PTAP 19, the round that we're talking about today, if you're expiring in 2017 or 2018. If your jurisdiction hasn't been inspected since 2015 or prior, and if these are the case and you have, and let's see, and you're not certified, or you fear that you might not be certified soon, what you want to do is contact me about an extension letter. If your certification is going to expire before January of 2018, you really want to ask me if you're eligible for a one-year extension. Regardless of whether you're selected for PTAP, if any kind of funding comes through, you really want your jurisdiction to show up on the certification listing as certified and not pending and not, or rather not expired, because if there's a chance for us to provide you funding, MTC really wants to support that and can't unless your jurisdiction's PMP program is certified. So PTAP provides assistance with 3 types of projects: pavement management system projects, non-pavement asset management, and design projects. Most of the funding goes to PMP projects, PMS projects. Non-pavement asset management projects are projects that we're doing more because of all of the mandates by the federal government and our desire as a region to really have a handle on all of our capital assets. So we're doing more non-pavement asset management projects, but our focus is more on developing our non-pavement asset management module. So we're very selective about those projects. So we probably do 1 or 2 non-pavement asset management projects per round, but we still encourage you to apply. Design projects, we rarely do. Most folks don't like to do them because what it does is it federalizes their project, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. So PMS projects, they're projects geared towards helping all of you understand your pavement condition. And I understand that you, as the staff who are on this webinar, probably understand your pavement's condition in your jurisdiction better than anybody else. But it's primarily so that we can generate reports and information that helps decision makers, all of your city councils and town councils and county board of supervisors. This program is to help them understand where they should make investments. It's to help you help them understand that information. What we want to do is we want to figure out if current and future revenues will be enough for you guys to maintain your streets and roads. So this program is meant to empower your decision makers to make better decisions about pavement. And it keeps you certified so that if there's money around, we can say, yes, send it to, San Jose, please send it to Moraga. And you can check your PMP status at the link that's provided here. So the scope of work is that they'll review and audit your road network. They'll enter any maintenance and rehabilitation history. So if you've made any improvements to your streets and roads in the last couple of years, they'll make sure that that information is loaded into StreetSaver for you. They'll update your decision trees to make sure that any kind of cost-benefit analyses that are produced by this program are accurate, because what you want you want accurate costs in there so that you know how much maintenance and rehabilitation will cost in your projections. So they'll actually send folks out on the street to perform the inspections, and they'll perform the data entry for you of all of the stresses on your pavement. And what they're going to do is estimate available revenues for pavements over the next 5 years. So they'll be working with you on how much money you have to spend. We usually like 3 scenarios. The first scenario is, where are we now? What do you think you can actually spend? The second one is, if you got some money, what would you fix first? And the third scenario is, in a fantasy situation, what would it cost to fix everything? So that helps us get a handle on an MTC get a handle on how much money we need to look for to assist you, and hopefully you need to look for to make those improvements. So what they're going to do is they're going to run those 3 scenarios, and you'll get a GIS map in StreetSaver of all of your information. Let's see, and we're going to get you're going to end up with something called a budget options report. The budget options report is going to describe the project. It's going to describe all of the quality management information that occurred during the project, and it's going to give you your 3 scenarios. And so that's something that you'll be able to just hand to your decision makers, and you can point them to the relevant information. That helps your jurisdiction make better purchases and maintenance and rehabilitation decisions. We can establish a full linkage of your pavement data to a GIS map through StreetSaver. And there are additional fees for that. All of our jurisdictions have their data linked to a GIS map. So we have a map that's provided by the state of California called a Tiger map. If you want a better map, you can hire a GIS professional to create a better map for you. And for a fee, we will link the data in StreetSaver to your better, new and improved map. And our consultants are happy to provide assistance with city council presentations, and we'll also provide training for you on using StreetSaver. You know, some jurisdictions, they don't look at their pavement and they don't look at StreetSaver until PTAP comes around. Other jurisdictions have a handle on this and you're using StreetSaver all the time. So we understand that there's a really wide range of knowledge about StreetSaver and about PMS programs. So don't feel intimidated or you know, if you don't know very much, because that's what this program is about. We're here to help you. So the next kind of project that we do is a non-pavement asset management project. And so that's inventory on everything that is not a street and not a road. If you can't drive on it, then it's included in non-pavement asset management. What Sweet Tan, our technical person, told me that he's looking at for developing the StreetSaver asset management module is projects on curbs and gutters, culverts, and storm drains. So we're really looking for those type of projects. If you have another non-pavement asset management project and you can demonstrate urgency, we might be able to help you. But like I said before, we mostly do PMS projects. If you have a curb and gutter project or a culvert or a storm drain project, we're really interested in those. If you don't, please apply anyway. I need to know what your needs are. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. Please keep asking us, because we know that you guys need non-pavement asset management assistance. But we just can't help everybody now. But if you have an urgent need, I want to know about it. So let's see. Yeah, so like I said, we're looking for anything that's going to develop the module. So design projects, PS&E. So we can help you create a design. They're only eligible if the streets and roads are on the federal system. This is federal money. So we need to know that, you know, you can't use this to design a residential area. You can't use this to design a parking lot. And the construction phase has to be fully funded. So you'll need, if you apply for this project, know that you need to have all of the money in place. So residential PS&E is not available, and we can't pay for tasks that are in the construction phase. We don't get a lot of applications for this. I have gotten some applications, but everybody's always disappointed when I tell them that it federalizes their project. So if you have local money and you're ready to just, you know, hire somebody and you just want to get the design and, you know, start construction and you have all this local money to do it, if you use design through PTAP, that's going to federalize your construction. So really think about whether you want to apply for PS&E through this process. Project cost estimates. If you are applying for a PSNE or a non-pavement asset management project, we urge you to contact one of the consulting firms on the list before you. These consulting firms are the ones that just got selected through the PTAP procurement, and they can help you with your non-pavement costing and your PSNE costing. And they can help you try to cost things for PMS too if you're a really large jurisdiction. So you want to get, 2 or 3 cost estimates. 3 is preferable, but before you estimate or put an estimate in for non-pavement asset management or PSNE, we really need for you to get an accurate cost so that we can make sure that we provide ample funds to finish your project. Like I said, we give up to $100,000, and what that really means is we give up to $80,000, and you need to come up with 20. So if you have something that's kind of on the expensive side, just know that that's the maximum amount of project that we'll do, but we want to make sure that we provide you enough money to complete your project or to get as far as we can help you get with your project. So what are your responsibilities if you win? Well, we have a webinar, a kickoff webinar that's a lot like this, which will hopefully have a better start than this one did. You need to attend a PTAP kickoff meeting with your consultant. If you win, your consultant will call you, get to know you, and will come and visit you at your convenience to have an in-person kickoff meeting to better understand what your needs are. Are you going to need them to go to City Council? Do you want extra scenarios run, extra budget scenarios? And you're going to work with the consultant or firm that I assign to you. Now, when you actually fill out the application, we ask that you please select, select who you want to work with. Well, what that means is if there's a consultant on the list who you like, you can tell me that you want to work with that consultant. Say you have a contract with one of the firms that's on our list already and you want to continue that relationship. I'll definitely consider that, and I'll do my best to make sure that you continue working with the consultant that you already have contracted outside of PTAP. Unfortunately, if you've worked with a consultant 3 rounds in a row, I have to switch your consultant out. The reason that we do this, it's disappointing sometimes, but the reason that we do this is because we need to make sure that quality is consistent throughout the region. And so all of the little firms and all of the big firms sort of do a double check on each other's work, and we make sure that even though everybody's been trained by Suitan and his team to make sure that we're looking at apples and apples instead of apples and oranges, we like to check each other's work because it maintains the quality of the inspections that we do. Also, what's going to happen is that you need to be the one to submit the PMP certification letter to MTC. What's going to happen is your consultant will work with you, they'll come and do the inspections, they'll enter all the data, they'll write this fabulous report for you, they'll write you a certification letter that states what happened and when your inspections were, but it'll be your responsibility to put it on your jurisdiction's letterhead and make sure that your Public Works Director signs it. And then you guys will have to send me those letters. So these are the due dates. So the consultant has to get you a work scope, schedule, and budget by June 1st. These dates, by the way, the beginning dates, the first 3 dates are not hard and fast. Your consultant will work with you based on your schedule to make sure that you get all, items 1 through 3 within these time frames. Item 4 is critical. That has to be done on time. So between April and June, you'll get your work scope, schedule, and budget created. By October, MTC expects that most of the condition surveys and system updates are completed. In December of 2018, that's when you'll have your initial draft budget analysis calculations and reports. So that's your the first cut of the BOR. By April 1st, the final project reports must be completed. And the reason they have to be completed is because that gives you guys a month to get me those PMP certification letters so that I can update your jurisdictions standing on the PMP certification listing. So you're going to end up with a final BOR, a completed asset management module, or a 100% design. And when I say a completed asset management module, we may not get your entire jurisdiction's data into the Street Saver, but you'll at least have the module so that you can send folks out to fill that module up. What we want to do is make sure that you have a good receptacle for all of this new information. So that's the focus of the asset management modules. If you're an itty-bitty jurisdiction, then maybe we'll get 100% of your data too, but that's not guaranteed. So you'll end up with that. You'll get your PMP certification, so that's 2 years for PMP projects only. And you'll get a Street Saver 2-year subscription so that your consultant can work in your Street Saver data, and then you'll get to keep that subscription. You won't have to pay for one next year. So what you want to do is go to MTC's website to apply for PTAP. Just so you know, do not use Microsoft Explorer, Internet Explorer. It's old. It doesn't get updated anymore. You want to use Chrome by Google, or you want to use Mozilla Foxfire, or Firefox. I always say Foxfire. Mozilla Firefox. You want to use those two because they're updated web browsers, and so they capture all of the nifty new stuff that's in our PTAP application. What you're going to do is you're going to submit the application, and once you submit it, MTC is going to assume that your Public Works Director or their designee has approved this. You're going to put that person's name in as the person who signed it. You're going to put their email and phone number, and then you're going to hit send. You will not get an email confirmation. I know that we did that before, and I would like to get that feature back, but we couldn't get it back in time. So I'm going to shoot for that for the next couple of rounds, so maybe when you come back to PTAP, you'll get an email confirmation, but that's not going to happen this year. And last but not least, no more hard copies need to be mailed. I do not need a wet signature. I do not want a letter. I don't want a copy of your application. If you want to take screenshots of your application to keep them, you're welcome to do that, because we're not going to send you a copy of your application. So I would just go in and take screenshots if you want a copy for your records. But please don't send me a copy of your application because we don't do that anymore. Yay, we've modernized. Okay, so how do points work? Well, if you have a PMS project, you're going to get 25 points because that's where we want to use most of our funding. So you'll get fewer points for a non-pavement asset management and even fewer points for a design project. The number of centerline miles you get up to 20 points for, so the smaller jurisdictions get the maximum number of points. If you have a lot of centerline miles, you're not going to get as many points. If you're a larger jurisdiction, that does not mean that you won't be selected because there are other criteria. Like, were you a prior PTAP recipient? So if you just got PTAP 18, I'm probably not going to help you. You probably won't be selected. But I encourage you to apply because you never know. Maybe you have a fantastic, phenomenal non-pavement asset management project that SWE really wants. Maybe you're working on your culverts and SWE thinks you have a great project and it's going to really help develop the module. So if you're in that kind of case, in that kind of situation, I encourage you to apply. But if you were in PTAP 14, say, you're going to probably get 30 points for this because if you haven't been in PTAP for a while, we really want to reward you. If you've never been, if you haven't been a PTAP recipient for a long, long time and you do not use PTAP for pavement management system projects, I will provide you a higher score for prior PTAP recipient. So we have a handful of jurisdictions that actually perform their own PMS work. So that's a situation where you will be assigned a higher score. And your certification status. If you're expired and I cannot give you an extension, then you're going to get 25 points so that we can help you this year. So like I mentioned before, the consultant assignment process, we really want you to tell us who you want to work with. If they're on that list in the previous pages, then I'm going to try to connect you with the consultants you want to work with. Geographic proximity, I don't want the consultants going from Napa all the way to San Mateo County. I'm going to try to cluster everybody together, so that plays a role. And the history of working with the consultant firm, we are going to assign you to someone new if you've worked with a firm for too many rounds. Additional local funding. If you're in the application, let's see, someone just asked, I just saw a question about if you can use PTAP funding for Class 1 trails. If it's not if it's not a federally funded street and road, we're not supposed to actually be examining any trails. So if you're a smaller jurisdiction, we would like to get 100% of your jurisdiction if we can. And so we'll look at your residentials, but we're not going to do any trails. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. And I'll go back to answering questions at the end of the presentation. But additional local funding. So additional work can be added to PTAP as long as it's something that's in that resolution that I referenced earlier. So that means a PMS project, a PSNE project, or a non-pavement asset management project. If you are going to be spending less than $25,000, then we ask that you please work directly with your consultant and pay them directly. But if it's anything over $25,000, I'm happy to write a funding agreement between your jurisdiction and MTC. And what will happen is then you can send your money to us, and I will put it in our contracts, and I'll pay your consultant directly. We've had a few cases where jurisdictions didn't get PTAP, but they still wanted to piggyback on our contract. Whether you receive PTAP or not, as long as you want to perform any of the work scopes that are listed in that resolution, I can help you and you can piggyback on our contract. The thing that I wanted to mention is if you if you have extra, I mentioned that you have to, that if it's under $25,000, you need to work with your jurisdictions, and we're really trying to be strict with that because it's anybody who's worked on a funding agreement with us at MTC knows that it could take a lot of time, and 18 months seems like a long time, but it really isn't. And a number of documents have to be updated when we do this. So I encourage you definitely to work with them directly. If you're in a situation where you can't do that and you have the extra money to spend, you're just under $25,000, like if you have $20,000 or $18,000, call me and let's talk about it. Because if you are in desperate need, I want to help you. We want to make it as easy as possible for all of you to get certified. So our schedule is we opened up the call for projects during Local Streets and Roads working group. I think, well, actually the October 12th meeting I think got canceled because of the fires in the northern counties. But we opened up the application on October 12th. On November 13th at 4 p.m. the applications are due to MTC. And in January, that's when I'll be sending you a notification that you won or that you couldn't be included in the program, and we'll also be sending an invoice for the $20,000 or for the local match, $20,000 if you get a $100,000 grant. So now, let's see. So your local contribution check is due by the end of February 2018. The reason is because I have to append funds to all of the consultant contracts, and if I don't get that check in MTC's hands by February 28, 2018, you risk having your project canceled. So please make sure that you have everything set up and good to go. In January, the second that I find out that you win and our administration committee approves the list of projects, I'm sending you an invoice. So I would appreciate it if you could make sure to get those checks to us by the end of February. In April and May, that's when you'll start getting phone calls from your consultants. And by May 1st, 2018, that's the deadline to set up StreetSaver online for your project. So, and like I mentioned before, between April 1st and the 30th of 2019, that's when the final report certification and certification letters are due to MTC. So you'll note that this is called PTAP 19. Most of the dates are in 18. We call it PTAP 19 because that's when we get your certification letter. So now I'm going to try to answer questions. PTAP is, our technical assistant is provided by Sweet Tan. So if you have technical questions regarding the PTAP program, you want to contact Sweet. If you have any questions about administration or the application, you want to contact